Am I even on book number 4? It's been so long, I don't even remember. Oh, that's right, I am. This video took me a minute to get out. Alright, there was a lot of stuff that went wrong. The first thing, see, there's a whole lot of backstory to this. The first thing that happened was I went right away, right after the 3rd book, I went to listen to the 4th book. I was like in an Adrian mood or something. I was ready to keep on going. But then I found out that all the audiobooks were missing off of YouTube. And I said, oh no, did old Chrissy find me? He knows that I'm telling all y'all about Adrian's Undead Diary? Maybe he felt some shame, I don't know. But then I had to reel myself back in. Oh, Horace ain't that important. So I didn't know what happened. Then I go looking for it. I tried to illegally download it, can't find it, really upset. Then I went and bought the book, which I'm really happy about, because this one's my favorite cover. Can y'all see that? Look at that. That's our boy Adrian, with his little mohawk and his scary tattoos. Actually, oh my god, they even got the koi fish on there. Look at that. Oh, wait. Yeah. Koi fish. Very scary, I know. So then I bought the book, but did I really want to sit there and read it? No. I really just wanted to listen to it. I wanted to listen to it and I wanted to take some notes. Then, by the grace of God, Audible sent me a little like, hey, you haven't been using our app in a while, so how about a free credit? So I said, hell yeah, Audible, I'm going to use that free credit and I'm going to get Adrian. So I did. And then I was mad because then I immediately found it back on YouTube again. So anyway, if you want to like listen along, read along, play a little game, it's back on YouTube. Hopefully. I don't know. Look it up. And the other thing is, this book, even in the reviews, by people that actually like this book, it's all like, oh, this is just a filler book. This is just a filler book. Like, nothing really happens in this book. So you know what? Even if you did want to listen to it, I don't suggest reading it because it's going to put you to sleep. Nothing happens. But we got to beef out the book series. I guess all book series needs a little filler here and there. Kind of sad that it's a whole book. I also decided to read some of the comments in them book series, and I'm getting really worried about some people's brain cells. I mean, I know most of YouTube is like 12-year-olds and blah, 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 so maybe that's okay. But y'all, these comments love this book. So maybe I am crazy. But anyway, let's get started. I wrote these notes down so long ago that we about to re-experience this whole book together, because I don't even remember. So anyway, we start off where we left off, I guess. Start off where we left off. That's pretty cool. I thought it would be fun to make a rum and coke to have with this, because I always need some alcohol to get some Chris Philbrook down. But it turns out it was whiskey, and I hate whiskey. But you know what? I bet Adrian likes whiskey, because that's a real manly drink. So we started out, they're all fighting, but then Adrian, almost said Chris, notices that the zombies aren't attacking Gilbert's house. Kind of weird, a little suspicious, spooky. And then we jump straight into the first sex scene of the book. It's not with Adrian. I don't really know who it is with. I can't remember now. But I do know that it goes on way too long. And I didn't want to hear that. I don't want to think about Chris thinking about that. And then guess what? We're treated to that whole school clearing out, beginning of the book nonsense scene all over again. Just so we know, we really know, we got it in our little noggins that Adrian is basically the blueprint for what the most manliest alpha male man needs to be. And of course it's told through someone else's eyes, someone who's watching Adrian be so tall and sexy and manly and in control, and then they die. None of it was worth nothing. All it was to tell us about Adrian. So then the little fight's over. Adrian says, he's like looking at his stock and whatever he has, blah, blah, blah. He says that the gas supply is so low that it's starting to make his asshole itch. And I'm thinking it's just because he don't shower. Or maybe he's one of those guys that thinks it's gay to wipe your own butt. Who knows? He's also been watching Abby's little budding relationship with that kid, like, a lot. Like, really a lot. And I know, like, you gotta get updates for the journal or whatever, but it's just coming off a little weird. Maybe I'm looking too much into it, but the updates are incessant. They're a lot. Oh yeah, and then this weird thing happened. I wrote down chapter 7, like something that happens in chapter 7, because I wanted to read it from the book. Also, the book's called The Failed Coward. Great. Just great. I love it. But anyway, so then I started going through the book, because I needed to find that spot. Couldn't find it, couldn't find any chapters, couldn't find where I was at all. And it turns out, ain't even no chapters in this book. It's just dates. How am I supposed to find that line? Maybe the guy reading the audiobook had a different book than me, but there ain't no chapters in this book. So I'm real upset about that, because now I can't read you that line. But I'll tell you what it basically said. Oh yeah, and it was really creepy, because it came right after Abby and her relationship update. But he was like, I'm gonna go fiddle my willy, I'm gonna jerk my gurk, and maybe if I'm lucky, the cat'll watch me. What kind of nonsense is that? You better be kicking that cat out of the room. Hopefully the cat'll watch me. Excuse me? You're already punching walls in front of that kitty and scaring it. They don't want to see that. I want to see your wanker scabs. Alright, before I tell you this next thing, I want to bring up again about how, like, nothing's really happening in this book. And these are just the notes that I took. These are, like, the most interesting things that are happening in the book. Otherwise, there wouldn't really even be a video right now. So the next thing I wrote down was that Adrian is like, ooh, Abby's getting so domesticated. She's, like, learning how to cook with Gilbert because she likes a man. And you know, women just need to be in the kitchen, even in the apocalypse. Excuse me? Whatever. Alright, so then you think that something's actually gonna happen. Because then they're gonna go break into this daycare. I think they're getting ready because, like, some of the ladies in the other camp are pregnant. And they just need food in general. And they haven't really looked at no daycares or what. I don't know. I don't really know. Alright? But they go to the daycare. Someone lets a bunch of zombie babies out of a room. I think it was Abby. Like a dresser fell on her or something. Gilbert breaks his toe and then Abby gets scratched or... Yeah, Abby gets scratched. But I don't think by a zombie. I don't remember. But maybe by the thing falling on her. Because I don't think you're allowed to get scratched by zombies in books. I don't know. Then they need more supplies. So they go to clean out the camp that got blown up in the last book. And only like halfway through it, Adrian starts to realize that maybe he's kind of a piece of shit for bringing Abby and her mom to the place where her dad and her brother died. But I guess, you know, caring about other people's feelings was never really his thing. Not really Adrian's deal. We all just gotta care about Adrian's feelings, even though they're the feelings of a 12-year-old boy. And then we start reminiscing about Cassie, because guess what? Back to Adrian's feelings. What a surprise! Anyway, none of it matters. You don't learn nothing. You don't get to know any of the characters better. You don't miss Cassie anymore. She's a plank of wood with tits. Then Adrian decides that he's gonna go back home because all this reminiscing on Cassie, it makes him a little homesick, and maybe he wants some of his comics or his movies or whatever made him Adrian. Who knows? Ain't really probably gonna get anything sentimental. Probably just gonna get some jerkin magazines or something. Find the link to that dirty video he really liked. I don't really know. So he makes that plan, but then he starts having some strange dreams. So he has a dream that his friend Steve, the guy with the Girl Scout comment in the first book, is like wounded and living in his apartment. And then he like succumbs to his injuries and now he's dead. And now there's zombie Steve hanging out in his apartment. And he's like, oh, how weird is that? Now, if this was a better book, a book that was written well, this would be something that was on my list of stuff that was going to make this a good book. Like stuff that I wanted to know more about. Kind of like the zombie that was pointing at his watch. But I already know this is garbage. You like my flower? Anyway, shocker, he gets there and it all was true. Just kidding. Accidentally, I forgot to mention that it was because Steve, like, took himself out. And now there's zombie Steve. Wasn't he also like a soldier or something? Wouldn't he know how to like destroy the brain better than whatever he did? I don't remember what he did. So you're gonna have to read the book if you want to know that, but I would think it would be that. Especially because we all know Steve got a gun. Anyway, he's at the apartment. It's real. He has to kill Steve, my friend. Steve deserved it. He was creepy. But anyway, that starts making Adrian believe in religion. He's thinking there's some kind of cosmic entity out there. He's like, yo, I'm having these dreams. I'm like surviving and my Steve friend is dying. So clearly there must be something out there. He can't be a Reddit atheist forever. But they get back. He starts feeling like sorry for himself because he had to do something hard. And God forbid Adrian ever have to do anything. So he's feeling sorry for himself. And he even says in the book, I feel like I might be a failed coward. He said the title. He said the title like it was a movie. But don't worry, it doesn't last long. He's feeling fine and dandy in the morning time when the sun comes up. So, pointless again. This whole book is pointless. And he's real excited to play his PS3 on his big TV that he just took from his house and watch his dirty movies and look at his dirty magazines. And you know what? I didn't even remember this part. And I said that bit before. Just play it. But it really was. It really was. Adrian just wanted his favorite titty back. So then the whole book switches perspectives to some guy. Some guy. Is he gonna matter? Who knows? It just switches to some guy. Why? Because we have to fill out this book. And we ain't got nothing to say. Remember when I said the last book was a filler? This is a real filler. He lives outside of the school, and I'm kind of getting the impression that he's supposed to be like a scummy guy. Because he's killing people, and he's using binoculars to kind of peep on girls at the school. But isn't this all stuff that Adrian was also doing? I mean, minus the binoculars, but I don't think he could afford them on a janitor's salary. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. He was a security guard. Oops. And surprise, surprise. He even knows how to survive a zombie apocalypse just like Adrian, because he read books and watched movies before. But he's a scummy guy. Why? I don't know. Just is. Weird how that works out. And then we find out that his name is Walter. And then guess what? Guess what? This is going to be crazy. That chapter ends. That's it. Hopefully it comes back. Because then it goes over to Gavin, who's Abby's little boyfriend. And he asks Adrian and Gabby's mom. Abby. Her name is Abby. Sorry. I'm so confused now. The little girl's name is Abby. The mom's name is Patty. Adrian's name is Adrian. Alright, we're all on the same page. Little boy's name is Gavin. Cool. Great. Glad we settled that. Anyway, he's there to ask Adrian and Patty if he can date Abby. Now, Adrian wants to give him the whole shotgun talk, like, I'm this girl's daddy and I'll shoot you with this shotgun if you touch a hair on her body. But he's like, this ain't even my kid. And yeah, Adrian, it's not even your kid. It's not even your decision. Because you keep wanting to say that she's an adult and she has this big grown-up brain. But now you want to be a little weird? Now she's a little kid? Very interesting. But anyway, then he just tells them, hey, cool, whatever, do whatever you want, just no drama, and use condoms. And did we care about what Patty had to say? No, because that doesn't matter. It's not like it's her kid. And we didn't ask Abby either, because it's not like it's her choice anyway. She's a girl. So they run off to go make out in the driveway, as like kids do, I guess. And Adrian and her mom, Patty, are looking out the window, spying on them like creepers. And Patty asks Adrian, do all girls look like whores when they kiss? And then, I don't remember what Adrian says. I don't even think he says anything. They just laugh it off. But then Adrian's like, ooh, I guess Abby's a virgin. I really suspect it, so go Gavin. Got you one of them virgin girls in the kitchen trying to learn how to cook for you. So then they go scouting neighborhoods, and guess where they end up? At Walter's house. So that whole chapter about Walter and whatever, and him being weird or whatever, doesn't mean nothing. He's dead now. And they're like, oh, he was crazy because he was like connecting sausages to Twizzlers like it was dynamite or something. I don't really know. They also find that he's got all these like cool guns. But Adrian says, Must have been compensating for something because he got all these big guns. Like Adrian's never compensated a day in his life. Like this whole book ain't just Adrian compensating for something. Now it might seem like I'm being a little overly critical of this book, and I might be, but there's really nothing else going on except for bullshit. So I just gotta tell y'all what's going on. And if it seems stupid, that's because the book is stupid. Now we find out that zombies don't get flies or maggots. I don't know if this is going to be important, but I'm going to tell you anyway. The zombies don't get flies or maggots, but bodies that died normally do. Does that matter? I don't know. I'm just letting you know. So then on the way home, Gilbert's truck breaks down, and everyone's got this weird, like, doom and gloom feeling. They're like, something strange is going to happen. And then they meet this guy. Weird. Crazy. And Adrian even brings up that this guy is in his slice of the pie because he's scouting it out. So that means that you know what slice in the pie means, or at least I'm assuming you do. Maybe you Googled it now, Chris, because it wasn't a bad way to die in the last book. It's just a way to clear an area. I mean, I guess getting shot's a bad way to die, but that happens in any situation. It's not something you really gotta bring up as like, oh, awful. Just awful that he died that way. In a zombie apocalypse, I think that's one of the better ways to go. You find out the guy's friendly, but it's kind of weird because he's got the same gun as all the ammo that they found at Walter's house. And it's spooky that Gilbert's truck broke down where they could like meet this guy in a peaceful way. Maybe there's a God above. Who knows? Now we get to suffer through a useless chapter of Kevin, which is one of Adrian's army friends. I've talked about him a couple times. I keep adding these in even though they don't really add anything to the story, but I just keep hoping that one day they do. So we find out Kevin's dreaming about the same white room that Adrian keeps dreaming about. And then some dead people tell Kevin to remember the rule of three. Ew. Did y'all see how my hand just looked? The rule of three. And then at 3:33 a.m. or p.m., I don't know, a bunch of zombies show up holding swords and knives for Kevin, kind of like they were doing for Adrian when they were holding books. And it was probably the same time that it all happened when Adrian's thing happened, but time zones and stuff. I don't know, maybe it was even 3:33 for Adrian, I can't remember. Now we're back to Adrian, and Blake, who's the guy that they met peacefully, tells Adrian that there's a farm nearby and they're buying kids. So, of course, Adrian's got something to say about that. And he wants to go check it out. But Gilbert says it's none of your business. It's the end of the world. Keep out of other people's business. You don't even know. You don't even know this guy. And Adrian throws a fit. He throws a massive toddler-esque fit. He's yelling. He's screaming. He's storming out. He's punching walls. But he storms out to leave. Doesn't matter. Nothing else gets said. And then he goes to his room. And then he starts crying about needing to get laid. And yeah, maybe, I don't know. And of course, because he's talking about getting laid, he's got to bring up Plank of Wood Cassie. We don't learn nothing, though, besides the fact that Adrian's desperate. So like any good leader of a group who just got some dicey information, Adrian sends the new boy, Blake, to go check out the farm. But isn't that kind of weird? Wouldn't you want to send someone that you already trust? Because isn't this Blake boy the one who told you about the farm? So isn't he just going to come back and tell you, yeah, farm's suspicious? He's going to tell you the same thing he just told you. So now he really doesn't have anything going on. And he even says in the book, or in his journal, but you know, in the book to us, the next couple of days are going to be boring, but don't worry. I'm going to keep it real entertaining with my awesomeness. Raw XD. And also, at this part of the book, I'm starting to think Chris was a little bit horny writing this book, because everything is about dicks and erections. So we cut back to Adrian. And he's starting to get desperate enough. He's like, yeah, I'm just so desperate. Like, I just gotta get some. So he gets desperate enough, I've just said that so many times, to pull some guy from the other camp aside and be like, yo, come on, man. Is there any ladies that I can bang here? Like, I just really need some. I'm so lonely. My dirty flicks ain't doing it for me anymore. I even took a whole pointless trip to my house to get my favorites back. And it's not doing it for me. So do you got like a lady you can loan me? Because that's how women work. But don't worry. He feels selfish about it. And the guy tells him, man, you got your pick of the litter. All these women, they about you, Adrian. We'll call this Operation Snatch. And I'll bring you over. What's that word? I can't think of it. I'll let you run around the campus and let everyone get a look at you, looking like the finest rooster in the land. And then, also, back to the creepy Abby stuff, Adrian immediately brings up Abby's sexual relationship. Where's his mind at? So he goes to the other camp, and all the other men are looking at him. I said men for a reason. All the other men are looking at him, but they're jealous. They're jealous of how masculine he is. They're jealous that all the ladies are just fainting over the mere presence of Adrian. So he goes to this hairstyle lady. Her name is Mallory. And he's like, hey, hairstyle lady, I need a haircut. That's his pickup line, I guess. I don't know. And she asks him what he wants. And he says, you know what, just give me anything. Give me whatever you would like. Hey. So she gives him a mohawk. And he's like, oh, not my style, but I really pull it off, guys. Because I'm a badass. Nothing happens, though. It, cuts over to them, being like, yeah, we gotta go clean out this greenhouse or something that doesn't matter. And then not weirdly, but just weird for this book, I guess, there's just this whole chapter, like a gangsta chapter, where Chris Philbrook writes in the most cringy, gangsta slang that he can. And at first I was really put off because I get really bad secondhand cringe for other people. Not for myself, obviously. But just for other people. And I was having a bad time. It was really the whitest thing I've ever read in my life. And I also had trouble figuring out if it was two white boys that wanted to be gangster. And I was having a real hard time trying to figure out if they were adults or kids. But it also said that they had done jail time. And so I can only assume that they're young adults. And one had been a senior twice. They also drive, and they're the town's biggest drug dealers. So maybe this is the whitest town I've ever heard of. It's really weird. I don't know how old these kids are, but they really read like young teenagers. But also, a lot of Chris Philbrook's ideas are those of that I've heard from young teenagers, when I was in high school and I heard my friends talking about books or comics or things that they were going to create, or even their D&D characters. Which also reminds me that Chris Philbrook plays D&D, and I would love to play with him, but also might be bad because I think we would just make the same characters. Mine because I think it's funny, and his because he thinks it's badass and cool. But that whole chapter really just makes me want to rip my eyes out at first, and I was having the worst time. But then I started to actually really like these two characters, because it just reminded me of Malibu's Most Wanted or something. And I was really enjoying it. And guess what? They actually live. It's not a pointless chapter where everybody just dies at the end. Isn't that crazy? And then after that chapter where I was on a real roller coaster, real bad, real fun, I don't know what was happening there. We cut back to Adrian. Nothing's going on. Nothing at his camp, nothing at the other camp, anything with that women, nothing. Why? Chris ain't got... Adrian ain't got no game. Nothing at that farm either. I forgot to mention that. So then they go clear out more houses, as they're always doing. And Adrian turns around and gets shot in the chest. And Mike, I don't know who Mike is. I forgot, but I wrote it down. Mike, I think that's the guy he pulled aside to ask about the women. He sends him back to the camp to get fixed up by his doctors there at that camp. But don't worry, we don't even leave the book on no cliffhanger or nothing. Oh, Adrian got shot. No, we already know he's fine. And then the book ends. Bye.